viewers, my name is JONAH SIMBA and this is the Treasures of Life show, and my sign language interpreter is Esther Kendi. I'm talking about remembering the deep. Let me bring this to you, remembering the deep. Let me bring this to you before I lose you. Because I've shared with you the story of Kevin Carter. And I've also shared with you the example of many leaders protecting themselves. Some of the most influential people in the world. And I'm trying to relate this with you in every situation of life. In Kevin Carter's case, Kevin Carter rose to glory, but out of criticism, the challenge of criticism, people not understanding him, Kevin Carter committed suicide. And I said clearly that I'm not criticizing Kevin Carter, no, but I'm using Kevin Carter as an example for us to learn how to handle the weight of glory. The higher you rise, the tougher the battle. But then, tough times may come to you in those high levels, but it is only the tough people that last. There are principles that you need to learn in your times of adversity. When you see an army getting into training for discipline, for commitment, for timekeeping, for resilience, it is not for nothing. It is not just so that they may get into battle and throw the grenades and shoot the bullets. It is because sometimes you may win battles, but you may lose the war. Let me say that again. Sometimes you may win the battle, but you may lose the war. And that is why, in Kevin Carter's case, he won the battle of bringing out apartheid in South Africa through photojournalism. He won the battle of bringing out the Sudan story. But he lost the war because the criticism that came to him pushed him to commit suicide. The bigger picture for you is the war against your soul. Remember that. You may look at winning a political seat as the war. It is not. There is a bigger battle. There is a bigger war than winning a political seat. Your legacy. Winning that political seat is a winning battle. But you need to take yourself to training. I see soldiers getting into training. And I mentioned to you some of the strongest units in the world. Yes. You need to find out some of the strongest units. People like the Royal Commandos in the UK and Delta Force in the US and many of these other armies that get themselves into training. The Polish army and, the protection around the Pope and the protection around the Russian leader and the South Korean leader. These are people, the Israeli armies, protecting their nation. When you see these people training and taking themselves to training, it is the training of discipline of mind. There is an understanding that the armies of this world are trying to gain. It is not in winning the war that lies the victory, in winning the battle that lies the victory. It is in winning the war. The war goes way after the battles. You may find yourself in Afghanistan and you come out of Afghanistan, but you've lost the war. The bigger picture of this earth is the battle of the soul. What legacy are we creating as a humanity? Are we sustaining the earth? Is there sustainability of the environment? Is there sustainability of our nations? Are we creating a future for our children and our children's children? What will be said of our generation in 2050? And sometimes you need to remember the people who have spoken to you. Not just the pastors, even your leaders. People like, in Kenya's case, I hear people like Jomo Kenyatta and people like, the people that passed, the fathers of the nation, and, Wangari Maathai, and many other leaders of the nation, Kenya. Even on the continent, we are not short of people like Mandela. They had their own shortfalls. They missed it in one area. But there are places where they got it right, and we can learn from it, especially the things that they said to us. You need to remember it. How many times do you go to a church? How many times do you go to a place of worship, a religious place, where you are spoken to by your leaders? It may be a sheikh, it may be a pastor, it may be your religious leader. Do you remember those things in times of adversity? Anxiety creeps in when we take shallowly, when we don't take deeply the things that are meant to create our souls and make us strong. Thank God for people that have gone ahead of us and made inventions and innovations. But many of them, they lost the war. Because it is not just in the battle, it is in the war. That's where the victory lies. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and to lose his own soul? At the Treasures of Life show, we are focusing on your soul, emotional intelligence. These are things that you may not learn in your universities. Issues like how to react when you've been lifted to glory. Right there in your lifting, right there in your blessing, right there in your success lies your greatest danger. It is in your success that lies your greatest downfall. You've fought for that spouse so much. Now you've married him or married her. Therein lies your greatest downfall. What did you learn about sustaining a marriage? The battle is in winning the spouse, but the war is in upholding the marriage. What did you learn about delivering after winning a leadership position? The battle is in the campaigning, but the war is in finally gaining the office, and you are the one in charge. That is where the war lies. The war lies in the bigger picture. Sometimes you need to ask yourself, before you are too anxious, what is the worst that can happen? When you deliver well, what is the worst that can happen? Your legacy is more important. The leading of the generations behind you. Passing on what you've learned as a businessman, as a businesswoman. That is what you need to learn, how to pass it on, how to sustain it. How we yearn for sustainability of our companies. How we yearn for the efficiency of our parastatals. It pains us so much when we get into our offices and we get shallow deliveries. Men and women that never learned that it is in the war that lies victory. The battle was in winning those jobs, to be in that, desk in that parastatal, in that government agency, serving. Now we are coming to you for service. And what we see is so excruciating. Who do we have as our pastors, as our seers, as the prophets of our land? Who do we have as our kings and queens and leaders? It is frustrating when we cannot tap on you. And I'm speaking from this perspective of the masses. I'm speaking not just from the perspective of the persons with disabilities. No. I'm speaking from a general perspective of humanity. It is so excruciating when we choose a few, thinking that these are the brains that we need. Then we notice that our strength is failed. I don't need to have the energies of a nation. I need to have the brains. If I destroy the brains, I have destroyed the nation. Brains obtain wisdom. Brains are full of wisdom. We as the masses depend on brains of wisdom, because in those brains we will be sustained. Our environment will not be destroyed. Our forests, our rivers, our cities, our schools, our hospitals, our churches, our families, our children, our future. Come on, remember the deep. Remember what matters. Remember life. By the way, life is fragile. Handle it with prayer. Because you are not an expert to life, but you've been given an opportunity to share life. As a leader, you lead yourself and you lead others. Handle it with prayer, because in prayer lies care. Authentic power demands that you do not operate with fear. In every negative emotion lies fear. And in fear there is pain. You don't need to remind us all the time that you are the leader. We need to see it. You don't need to remind us all the time that you are the mother. We need to see it. You are the mom. You are the dad. You are the king. It is in you. In fear lies pain. Don't doubt yourself. You are the leader. You've won the battle. Now it is the time for war. Victory lies with you. Obedience to the things that has been taught to you is better than any sacrifice. Obey values. It is better than sacrificing yourself in any way. Obey every value. Ethics. Uphold it. Guard your soul. Authentic power demands that you hold love on the inside. Love and trust. See you next week on the Treasures of Life show. Bye-bye.